Heavy is the head that has to manage all of this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel.
We're now incentivized to buy what we already buy.
Fumbling through college had me building.
I also got some done on the other side.
And that was right around, I would say, May, maybe, right before renewing the lease for this property.
Welcome to the channel, Martha.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I was going to say, I am getting up in their names, I'll tell you what.
Bills paid by other people, life was never this good. I had to step back, knowing that it's...
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about a couple of topics. This is a wide variety of topics that truly do impact and affect us in many, many ways. So the first thing that I want to get into is something that's been top of mind. So I most recently had a Friendsgiving. See, I was away, I was traveling a lot. I was in Cancun, I was in Dominican Republic, I was even in New York. And I didn't get to have Thanksgiving with everybody. So what I did was I threw a celebration of life with my friends and some of my family that were in the state that I'm currently in. In the process of that, one of my neighbors who I invited over was extremely frustrated. And I didn't know why. Why were they frustrated? It had nothing to do with the Friendsgiving, the food, or the celebration of life that we were partaking in. But instead, they were frustrated with the political environment that we're currently in. Now, I completely understand that sometimes people just look for yes men and yes women to agree and you know, have a good time and really enjoy each other's company. But we're not followers. We're leaders of men and leaders of women. But I said what I said in the process of, oh yeah, I love low interest rates, blah, 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 blah. And I'm all for buying more real estate because that's what I am. I'm a real estate investor. But we don't lose the emotional side of things. And so what I did is I heeded the words of my neighbor and I said, you know what, let me go ahead and look into this a little bit more. Fox News didn't cover this, but there was a news article that did cover what our President Donald Trump had said. And when it came to Somalis. Now, I didn't know too many Somalis until I moved to the state that I'm in. And apparently we have some in our neighborhood, a part of our community that I haven't gotten to meet and get to know yet. Now, I understand that there was a scam that went on where billions of dollars are going overseas to foreign countries. Now, I'm African American, which means I was born in America, but both of my parents are Nigerian. And so it's very normal for people to work hard and send their money overseas. But of course, this is a little different in the fact that it was a scam in order to send that money over and to gang members and to blah, 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 blah. Of course, they're going to highlight the worst of the worst, but we don't want to lose sight of how a community is being affected as a whole. And just to consider an entire community of people to be lazy is kind of horrible. Now, there are people who don't want to work of any race. You don't necessarily see it. I haven't seen it in the African community. I haven't seen it in the Hispanic community. But in a way, those same communities, whether it's African or Hispanic, they're the same communities that are taken advantage of. And I can honestly say that I've also taken advantage of certain communities. Like when I was doing my basement remodel and I knew I can get the cheapest rate instead of hiring some Caucasian guy to pay 7 times more for the same thing. If it was the same price, of course I'd go with you, but it's not, right? And so as a small business, I'm looking at how can I do this efficiently, effectively, without having to spend more money. And granted, when they messed up something and they weren't getting paid to come back and fix their own mistakes, they wouldn't come back. But at the same time, it still cost me so much less to get it done in the first place, right? So for the most part, the job got done, the job got completed, the job looked nice, and yeah, it's an amazing thing that now all I have to do is wait on appreciation, and boom, voila. And so when you hear these big businesses that go overseas and build car plants in Taiwan or car plants in China, it's because the business, the cost, the labor is so cheap. And so when you hear, oh, this Hispanic person is building every house, all we know in real estate, ask any real estate guy that is building something. If they don't know someone who is Hispanic that will build that thing up in a few days, whether it's a small renovation, whether it's a roof, something, right? And so, yes, although people are looking to work and they're eager to work and they're happy to work, don't think that they're being paid exactly what they're supposed to be. Honestly, most people are not paid their value and not paid their worth. Most people, again, are not paid their value and not paid their worth. And so when I was talking about scammers are at an all-time high and also on the decline because they're getting caught in mass, they're on a high for a short period of time and then they're boom, swept and taken out. I wasn't saying that for no reason. People don't want to work in a country where money is printed for free. And when I say printed for free, I mean on the backs of the taxpayers, where our government can be in debt over $38 trillion. And now they're finally seeing a drop in their credit rating. And I do want to say that I do not agree with what I heard the President Donald Trump say in regards to the Somali community. I I'm of the belief that that might just be AI. Like I'm hard pressed to not even believe that that came out of his mouth. Um, that's how shocked I was to hear that. To call a group of people lazy, to call a group of people unmotivated, to say that their lands are ravaged and horrible, and that's why they ran here and that they're not welcomed. All of that stuff was absolutely not called for and absolutely horrid. And I understand when you're in your last term of presidency, you can speak your mind and there are little to no repercussions for your actions. But to me, that was absolutely horrible to alienate a group of people. And so, yeah, I absolutely did not agree with that. It's very sad to have seen that, to have heard that, to have voted for someone who could say that about just a specific group of people who, for the most part, have never done anything to you. Okay, let's say they did scam and steal some money, but that's not everyone, like, right? So to just categorize everyone in that regard for one state, I believe the state was Michigan, I believe, or Mississippi, one of them with the M's, Minnesota, I don't know. Somebody let me know in the comment section down below which state it was that was highlighted in this investigation. But at the end of the day, that was absolutely not called for. And it really does make you start to rethink, like, where do you want to go? Like, how do you want to move in which political climate? Because I'm grateful for the decrease in illegal migrants crossing the border, but I'm also not grateful for a group of people being alienated and called out on a whim. You know, like the whole group didn't need to be called out just because of a few bad apples. And there's bad apples in every community. If you look at Africa, is normally back home in Nigeria. They don't normally make it to America doing that type of stuff. But when you hear 419, that's scammers. Those are scammers back in Nigeria doing, scams. I don't know what type of scams they do, but that's what they call it, 419. So you don't want to be a part of that. You want to live a life worth living, and you also understand, when you start to understand the way the world works and the way money is fluid throughout the communities and how it's put to work, The banks only keep 10% of your money in the actual bank, and they use 90% of it. They are forced to invest 90% of your money, other people's money, right? If the banks won't hold your money, the Fed prints money and will be printing money all 2026. Guaranteed, when the president gets a new Fed chair, rate cuts will be on the rise as long as he can convince a few people to have his back and have his backing. Yes, rate cuts will be on the rise. Okay? And so you're going to see money printing at an all-time high. You're going to see money flowing through the economy like it's never had before. Free money, fresh money, money like it's never been. You're trying to boost the economy with inflation in order to curve all the spending and all the debt and everything. It's necessary in order to get out of these $38 trillion, but it also puts the poorest of our people in a harder and harsher position. It puts our elderly in a position to where the inflation is going to price them out of the market and they're not going to be able to retire. And so you're going to have the elderly working longer and harder. You're going to have the people with assets rich and thriving. And you're going to have everybody else just scrambling, trying to make a way. And if you're working, you'll be okay. If you're not working, you're at the mercy of everybody else. And so I say all that to say, like, there's so much that people need to be aware of, so much that people need to understand. You know, housing prices, for 2 years, they were not dropping. Finally, housing prices are dropping. What's going to happen when the interest rates also come down and drop, and then more houses hit the market? There's going to be a frenzy, an absolute frenzy going on. And you don't just want anything. This is just me to you now. You don't just want anything. You want to buy stuff that actually have value, that actually makes sense, and that people actually want as well. Because that's where the value is when there's a demand for what you have, a demand for what you want. You see, I don't buy no house that I wouldn't want to live in myself. That's rule number one. If you don't want to live in it, you don't buy it. Simple, right? Because if you don't want to live in it, why would somebody else want to? And so that's how I look at things. And that's why, even though I buy in the winter months because it's cheaper, you also want to be understanding that if you do buy in the Mays and the Junes, you're going to get the best type of properties because those are when the best houses hit the market. And if you have the type of cash to compete in that type of market, then you'll always have a property in demand as long as you buy in the right locations. Now, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You know I post on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify for podcasters, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Peace.